Welcome to the channel ones, zeros, and in between. This is a channel about everything and anything in life that I want to talk about. The content you are about to see is 100% written by me with no use of AI in writing or editing the scripts. AI has been used in the generation of images and to provide a voiceover. One day I'll make a video about why I'm using an AI voiceover and not my own voice, but that is not a video for today. Anyway, on to the video. Welcome to my debut video, the MindTrick to wipe out £40,000 debt. Before diving in, let's set the stage with some key points. 1. Generic advice alert. The tips I share are based on my experience and meant to shift your mindset about debt. Remember, debt is deeply personal. For tailored advice, consult a pro. 2. Homework assumed. If you're here, chances are you've scoured the net for basic debt management strategies, budgeting, negotiating interest freezes, debt repayment plans. I'm building on that foundation, so if these terms are alien to you, pause here and catch up on those basics first. This video isn't going anywhere. 3. No magic bullets. Erasing massive debt quickly without drastic measures like bankruptcy is a myth. It's been a long road for me. And if you're in a similar boat, brace for a marathon, not a sprint. 4. Luck's role. Yes, luck plays a part, but not the fairy tale kind. It's about recognizing and leveraging the everyday kind of luck. Stay tuned for how this perspective shift can be a game changer. 5. Work in progress. My debt journey isn't finished. I'm down to the last £10,000 and on track to be debt-free in a year. If I can do it, so can you. Now, let's get started. If time equals money, then money equals time. Debt and our ability to pay it is not created equal. Even two people on the same salary with the same amount of debt will have different abilities to pay it. That's because the first trick is to stop thinking about money, but as time instead. To show this, we are going to use 3 examples. Meet my peoples, Alice, Bob, and Casey. All 3 have £40,000 of debt and all work 40 hours a week. Alice has an annual salary of £24,000, the national minimum wage. Bob has an annual salary of £35,000, the national median wage. And Casey has an annual salary of £60,000, making them one of the top 10% of UK earners. This gives our peoples an hourly rate of £11.54, £16.83, and £28.84 respectively. Now we can reframe that into how many hours work it would take for them to pay off their £40,000 of debt. Giving. Alice, 3,467 hours of debt. Bob, 2,377 hours of debt. And Casey, 1,387 hours of debt. When viewed as time rather than the slightly more abstract money, we can see that our peoples have vastly different amounts of debt, but it doesn't stop there. In the UK, we use a progressional tax system, meaning the more you earn, the more you are taxed, and we have to take that into account when viewing our ability to pay for anything, let alone paying off debt. Let's go back to our peoples, assuming all 3 are single, have no student loans, have no dependents, have no special tax allowances, and pay 5% to a private pension. Then we can work out their new hourly rates as follows. Alice now earns £9.32 an hour and now has 4,292 hours of debt. Bob now earns £12.70 an hour and now has 3,150 hours of debt. And Casey now earns £20.22 an hour and now has 1,979 hours of debt. While this has brought them closer in relative difference, it does increase the amount of debt relative to time each of them have. But it doesn't stop there. The final 2 steps we need to do is deduct our bills and then our debt payments. However, keep these 2 values separate for this now. This is where examples can break down. What bills you have will vary wildly between person to person. This is also because while some bills scale relatively close to income, others do not. A weekly shop for food does not scale as relative to increased incomes as closely as rent or a gas bill does. As such, I'm going to use the example of Bob. Bob earns the UK median wage, and the most research on household bills is done on people earning the median wage, which shows that before food and travel, the median person spends about £1,000 on bills a month. This accounts for bill splitting in shared accommodation settings. From there, we are going to assign Alice monthly bills of £750 a month and Casey monthly bills of £100–300 a month. The cost of travel for each will be roughly the same at £200 a month, and the cost of food will be £150 for Alice, £200 for Bob, and £250 for Casey. The example bills aren't perfect, and as stated at the start, money is a very personal matter, so please only use this as an imperfect example. Okay, so once we factor in this, we get new hourly totals of Alice earning £2.40 an hour and having 16,667 hours of debt. Bob now earns £4.62 an hour and has 8,658 hours of debt. And Casey earns £10.12 an hour and has 3,953 hours of debt. As we can see, this is where the debt chasm, so to speak, grows massively. We've gone from Alice having just over double the relative debt when viewed as time when compared to Casey to now having over quadruple. But it's from this standpoint that we can really begin to re-evaluate purchases and our debt. That new video game at £60 no longer costs the abstract money amount, but instead can be viewed as costing Alice 25 hours of work, more than half of a working week, while only costing Casey 6 hours, 3/4 of a working day. With that in mind, both can make a more informed decision on whether the new video game is worth it. And I'm not here to tell you it is or it isn't. I love video games, but if I earned Bob's final hourly rate of £4.62, I am more likely to look for a game priced about £28, costing me 6 hours of work, than I am one costing me £60, 13 hours of work. This really helped me to prioritise what I was spending my money or my hours on. But we still have to add in our debt payments. This should be viewed as a percent of our pre-debt hourly rate. Personally, I viewed 33% of pre-debt hourly rate as an acceptable percentage to use to help pay off my debt. However, as I've stated twice before, money is personal and only you know the right percentage to assign. If we did use 33% in our examples, it would give our peoples the following. Alice would earn £1.60 an hour and have 50,000 hours of debt, approximately 25 working years of debt. Bob earns £3.08 an hour and have 26,000 hours of debt, approximately 13 years of working debt. And Casey earning £6.75 an hour and have 11,000 hours of debt, approximately 5 years of working debt. This figure can be viewed as our true variable hourly rate and our time debt balance. When viewed this way, it can be a little scary at first, but don't worry, that leads me on to part 2, some notes on money equals time. 1. What you count as bills, taxes, or debt can wildly change the final figure and how you view it. Personally, I viewed student debt and the payments towards my car as part of my debt total, but if you would rather view these as tax, as student loans come off your payslip, and a bill, because most people have a monthly payment for a car at all times, then it is well within your power to do so. 2. Once you have your true variable hourly rate, you can work on improving it. Long term, the way to improve it is do what I did. Get a better paying job with better long-term prospects. Short term, you can look at either cutting out or swapping out bills. If you have an internet package valued at £40 a month, you can swap that out for a £20 a month one to improve your hourly rate. Similarly, if you have Amazon Prime, Netflix and Spotify, you can look at cutting some of these and relying on fewer services. There must always be a fine line when cutting things though. Powering through to be debt-free is great, but there is no point in making your life miserable as it reduces willpower when it comes to spending, but willpower is a video topic for another day. 3. With this new hourly rate in mind, you can evaluate purchases better. One-off purchases, as mentioned above, can be evaluated on a time it takes me to earn it basis. I personally then viewed the one-off purchases through the benefit of what I got back out of it. As I said, I love video games, and a one-off purchase costing me 6 hours that took 30 hours to complete seemed like a total win for me versus spending 10 hours on a night out that lasts 4 to 5 hours. When looking at recurring payments, look at how much of a percentage of your hourly rate it cuts. For example, something costing to £10 a month would cut your hourly rate by 6p if you worked 40 hours. If your true variable hourly rate matched Bob's, this would represent a 2% loss. A monthly bill of £60 would remove 35p or 11% from Bob's true variable hourly rate. Again, only you can evaluate what's important and what's not. My PlayStation Plus subscription costs me 8p from my hourly rate, but the enjoyment it gives me more than makes up for that cost. Now, as my ending, I briefly want to talk about luck. You see, as I said earlier, luck has played a role in allowing me to wipe £30,000 of my debt, but not the having rich parents or finding a lost Bitcoin wallet kind of luck. I'm more talking the everyday kind of luck. I've been lucky with work. I had the skills and experience to swap to a better paying job that was actively recruiting at the time. Whilst in this job, I've been able to develop skills and go on expensive courses paid for by my work that have allowed me to make a lateral move into a different role. This role has gotten me on even more paid for courses and is setting me up with the ability to move up or move on in my career if I should choose to do so. I've been lucky with friends and family. When I stopped ignoring the problem and came to terms with my debt, I told my friends and family. They have supported me throughout, giving me advice when needed, letting me rant to them when it's got too much, and been mindful of my money situation when making plans. I've been lucky in my hobbies and interests. I found things to engage with that I can do for cheap or free. Where I have interests that are more expensive, computer gaming for example, I've been able to find alternatives or ways to stretch the most enjoyment out of what I have, but most importantly, I've been lucky in love. My partner has been the bedrock from which my debt recovery journey has been built. Her continued support has allowed me to recover to the stage I am at today. The fact that she has shouldered my burden as partially her own burden has lightened my load immeasurably. Now, why do I bring this up? Is it to gloat and show off what I have? No. Quite simply, there will be aspects of your life that will enable you to pay off your debt quicker, and everyone will have at least something or someone that can help, even if it's just emotional support. By recognizing and utilizing this, while taking steps to minimize the aspects of life that will harm your debt recovery chances, you can truly place yourself on the road to recovery. Anyway, that's it for the video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, could you hit the like button? If you want to see more, please subscribe, and please leave a comment on whether you'd like me to cover a video about willpower or a video about using AI next. Thanks for watching.